Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. So, taking on a fun and exciting video for you guys today because we're going to be taking a look at the Sonic 06 Recomp. Now just be aware this is not out as far as the release is concerned. You can build it on GitHub, and the moderator of my Discord, the Cool Pup, decided he wanted to check it out and send me the footage because I do get some help on the channel here and there. And I will say so far, having played around in the background with this myself, the Recomp is absolutely shaping up to be a great version of a game that could definitely use some help. Because Sonic 06 might not be a perfect game, but it is still a Sonic game, which means there is some fun to be had. Before I get too far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. And I do know that some of the bug fixes of other versions of this game are going to be coming into the decomp and recomp as well, so do be aware of that. It'll probably be a better version of Sonic 06 by the time it's done outside of the recomp as well. And honestly, the first time I talked about this, maybe like 5% of the commenters were just angry it existed and said the developers should spend their time doing something more worthwhile. Remember that everyone that decides to take on a project like this gets to pick what they want to work on. If it's not Sonic 06, it's probably not anything whatsoever, so be happy it exists. If not for you, then for somebody else. And I will say right now, this game is looking absolutely so much better on the recomp version than it ever did back in the day. And I totally get it. Sonic 06 is definitely a janky game. Sega definitely had some good intentions for it, and some things do work, but for as many things that are kind of exciting and fun and Sonic feeling, there's something in the game that just doesn't feel quite right. And I will say, at least in this stage here, I always felt like Sonic 06 was supposed to basically be Sonic Adventure 3, but they decided to kind of relaunch the naming scheme and move over to something different. But at least sliding in the water here, you don't seem to fall immediately to your death all of a sudden, because this game is definitely riddled with bugs, especially the release version on consoles, so getting some of those fixed up would definitely be great. And when I say it definitely feels like Sonic Adventure 3, this whale segment right here definitely borrowed basically verbatim from actual Sonic Adventure on Dreamcast. And I remember when this game was announced and coming out, I was stoked for it, basically like everyone else was, because if you were a Sonic fan back in the day, getting a next-gen Sonic was something that definitely was exciting, at least at start. But obviously when we all got to play this game, that excitement kind of died, because Sega just made so many fundamental mistakes with this game, and that was just a bit of a bummer, especially the town square sequences where you're running around trying to get information from NPCs, and it basically just slowed down the overall flow of the game. In a Sonic game, all you want to do is go fast, so give us a bunch of lushly designed stages with a ton of visual splendor inside of them, and then stay out of the player's way. But this was kind of the generation where it seemed like everything had to have some sort of open world concept, and developers at Sega were no different when it came to Sonic 06. But as far as the recomp is concerned, it definitely looks great here, and it seems to be running at a consistent 60 frames per second. That's something else the original game had an issue with. Performance was definitely all across the board. It was just not a good experience, and that's why stuff like this really is so fun. Now, I know that P06 exists, and hopefully some of those improvements come over as well, because some of the commenters were saying, why make this when there is that other port available, but why not have more of a good thing? Because right here, as Sonic is rushing through this stage in the recomp, it looks great, it plays great, and it kind of feels like what Sega was promising back in the day, because when this game does things well, it actually is a fun experience. The problem is it only does things well maybe 50% of the time. The other 50% of the time, it definitely fights you for your fun. But that's why recomp projects like this are so important. They can and will fix up some of those fundamental flaws that exist in the actual release version of the game. Now, even with all of the modifications in the world, Sonic 06 is never going to become one of the quote-unquote best Sonic games of all time, but it definitely can become a lot better than it was back in the day. And if you haven't played this since it released, trust me, there's been a lot of people working on it to make it better for you. But at soundtrack sample time, go ahead and listen for 45 seconds, get an idea of the recomp audio quality, be back to show you more levels and why this recomp definitely is shaping up to be a good time.
You're a good girl, Elise. Remember, be brave. Don't cry, no matter what happens.
Mr. Sonic!
Just call me Sonic. Now then, are you okay?
I'm so glad that you came.
I always keep my word.
Sonic!
I mean, the music and storyline in Sonic 06 has definitely always been a vibe, but I'm not sure if it's a good vibe or a bad vibe, but it definitely is very distinct. But as we run around this boss arena here, just take a look at the textures, take a look at the graphics and the frame rate, and that really is where this recomp is excelling. It's just a smoother version of the game. Now, of course, it is a recomp, so the bugs that are inherently going to be in Sonic 06 are going to come over, but I'm sure there will be a mod engine like basically every other recomp out there, so other people can go in and work on it. And that kind of is the promise of something like a recomp. It gives you the basis to be able to go in and then kind of play around with whatever you want, or at least the developers out there that have the talent, ability, and time to actually work on stuff like this. And that is the ridiculous thing. It had to load in that one cutscene there. That's something that the original version would do, but the loading time seemed to be cut down here as well on the recomp. And that is going to be a very big deal, because trust me, if you never played 06, that thing would load basically anytime you did anything, and it would absolutely drive you insane, especially in the town square sequences. You'd look at 7, 8, 9 loading screens just to get through a simple conversation. And almost like the developers at Sega really couldn't understand how to stream data off the new consoles. They basically decided you'd have to pause and load in basically anything that happened. And honestly, Sonic playing an entire stage while carrying a princess, not anything I think anyone expected to see in a Sonic the Hedgehog game, but it definitely is there. And that's the thing. I understand that this isn't a great game, and maybe there's other Sonic games out there that if they were recomp might make more people happy, but I'm still kind of confused why some people actually get angry about this stuff. If it's not for you, just don't play it. Don't think that it shouldn't exist. That's something I'm always talking about on the channel, but the amount of angry comments knowing that Sonic 06 was being recomped, I didn't understand it whatsoever, and I didn't really love it. So it's one of those things. Again, if it's not for you, just don't play it. And you'll see here we fell completely through the sand. Definitely something that is going to happen in the game. In some ways, some of the bugs here are absolutely hilarious, just kind of playing around with the overall structure of the game. Is Sonic supposed to fall through the sand there? You might never know, because obviously he loaded into a new area, but kind of just phased through the actual floor, so it kind of felt like it was a loading zone or something that should happen, but it was also a bug that shouldn't happen. That is the funny thing about this game. Even when it breaks, you're not sure if it was supposed to break that way or if something went wrong. But I will say, as far as the texture work and the level structure is concerned, it is a fun time. And again, in the recount version, the games never looked this pretty, and that's definitely something to be applauded. And I'm sure this is not an easy lift either. Recomping all of these games takes a lot of time and a lot of energy, and getting it to this state, even if it isn't finished at this point in time, definitely is a testament to just how good the developers are at working on this game. And considering we saw Sonic Unleashed brought over to PC as well just recently, it is a fun time to be a Sonic fan. Well, I'd love to see something like a Dreamcast recomp of Sonic Adventure, just because that still is my favorite 3D Sonic game of all time. Leave me a comment down below and you tell me what's your favorite 3D Sonic game. I would be curious. There's a lot to pick from out there, and I will say, even though it's a deep cut, not many people love it. Sonic Lost World's definitely still one that I would consider way better than it gets credit for. But the thing about this is it's just fun to see people work on it. So we're going to do soundtrack sample 2 time right now, a little bit of voice acting, a little bit of music, 45 seconds, and I'll be right back with more.
It's no use! Take this! How about this? Take this! How about this? Take this! How about this? Take this! Take this! How about this?
It sounds good to me. The stereo separation there is fun. If you're wearing headphones, it's going to be a lot more apparent, and overall it sounds like Sonic 06 should. And that is the fun thing about recomps like this. It provides the promise of maybe a better version of this game moving forward. And even if every single bug was fixed, there's still some inherent design flaws in Sonic 06 that are never really going to be able to be fixed even by the best modders out there, because there's something about the structure of the gameplay in and of itself that wants to fight you basically in between levels. And obviously Sega got away from that whole town square concept concept in future games basically just gave you level after level of fun, but even to this day, 3D Sonic definitely always struggles to beat a 100% perfect game. Even the best 3D Sonic games out there still have some weird janky design decisions or gameplay or story beats you kind of wonder, Sega, you got so close, why did you do this in the end? But as far as the Sonic 06 Recomp is concerned, you can build it off the GitHub release, even if it is still early code, and you can play around with it like you see here. It's one of those things, maybe you should just wait until it's done, but I figured running a preview would be a good time. Leave me a comment down below and you tell me, what did you think when you first played Sonic 06? Is there anything in this recomp footage so far that would make you think you'd want to try to play it again? But we are done. I'm going to keep trying to go fast, and I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye-bye.